Today at the Data Transparency Summit, we are excited to welcome the members of Congress that supported the Data Act and made it happen, the executive branch implementers of President Obama's open data policy and the Data Act, and the tech industry, because the tech industry can make it happen.
In a word, the public should be able to Wikipedia where and how the federal government spends its money. And quite honestly, that's what the Data Act will do.
The next 2 years in the Data Act's future is going to be about things like recipient reporting. It's going to be making sure that those who love to say their data is an exception are not allowed to do so without some scrutiny as to whether or not keeping information is somehow a national security risk.
Well, I happen to be a believer that if you work in government, we should be operating in a fishbowl.
The Digital Accountability and Transparency Act, or Data Act, requires the federal government to transform its spending by making it somebody's job. The Data Act assigns the Treasury Department and the Office of Management and Budget at the White House to create the government-wide data standards that are necessary to bring federal spending into the 21st century and to publish all that information online.
So OMB will have a tough task, but a really important task, working with Treasury to go to all the other agencies to ensure that we have standardized data that makes sense, and frankly to push agencies on this process. OMB is pretty good at that. And I think at the end of the day, OMB will play a crucial role in terms of coordinating all the other agencies and again ensuring transparency is real, it's usable, it's accessible by standardizing it. And we're going to hold their feet to the fire, but also be there to help them.
I think that Congress can help by continuing to ask the right questions. I think those in the public and the industry who care about these issues can also help, keep up the drumbeat of interest in this topic. But I think if you get commitment on OMB's part and on Treasury's part, who really all the focal point of most of the implementation is there, I think that it can be a success.
I heard some concerns at the senior levels of the White House about, well, gosh, is the implementation still too quick and so on. We look forward to a collaborative effort, but as Ron said, we're going to hold your feet to the fire.
Everyone thinks they're an exception when in fact often Medicare, for example, is the greatest area of waste in our government, and we need to get that $100 billion that's being wasted every year accountable and back to the Treasury.
But I did also just get an alert from someone in the crowd that the White House has announced they will sign the Data Act. So there's a little bit of breaking news for you.
The White House has announced that President Obama will sign the Data Act into law. That's great news. That means a permanent legal mandate for the federal government to transform its spending from disconnected documents into open data.
PwC is really proud to be working with the Data Coalition on the Data Act. It's something that PwC is very adamant about, is transparent data, working with data transparency across the federal government, state and locals.
The members of the Data Transparency Coalition, the companies represented here at the Data Transparency Summit today, are seeking to use that value to create jobs, to build their businesses.
And so not only is it good for the economy, good for job creation, but it lets people know exactly what we're doing. And I think the more of this that we do, the more that we can look for these opportunities to be transparent to the public, the better.